The first meeting between humans and the Vesh Dominion took place under the wide glass roof of the United Earth Assembly Hall. It stood on the coast of what used to be called New Alaska, a place where the sea reflected the sky like silver. The hall had been built for moments like this to show that Earth could stand with the stars. But no one expected the stars to arrive so soon. A single ship from the Vesh Dominion hovered above the assembly dome. It was shaped like a long crystal spear, glowing faintly blue. No engines were visible. The air around it shimmered softly, as if the laws of gravity were being rewritten. Cameras all across the world focused on it. News feeds called it the most peaceful first contact in human history. When the ship landed, a tall figure stepped out. Her name was Tira Vesh. She was the emissary of the Dominion, chosen to meet the leaders of Earth. Her eyes were silver, and her voice sounded like two notes of music played at the same time. Her armor reflected the sunlight in soft waves. She looked calm and confident, as if she had seen 100 worlds before this one. Commander Reed watched her from the edge of the platform. He had been chosen to represent the Defense Division of Earth's Alliance. He wore a simple dark uniform with a crest of the planet on his sleeve. Compared to Tira, he looked plain, but his eyes held a quiet patience, the kind that came from seeing many challenges before. Tira stepped forward and greeted the assembly in perfect English. Her translator device glowed on her wrist, but it seemed she hardly needed it. Her words flowed smoothly. She spoke about peace, about how the Dominion valued new species that reached the stage of interstellar communication. Her tone was polite but carried an edge, as if she were speaking to children who had just learned to read. After her opening, she smiled slightly. "We have heard of your defense technology," she said. "Your rail cannons, your orbiting platforms, your energy shields. May I see one of your finest weapons? Our High Council is curious to know how your world protects itself." There was a pause. Reed nodded once and stepped forward. "Of course, emissary. We have prepared a demonstration." He motioned toward a team of engineers waiting near a platform at the side of the hall. They brought out a long metallic device mounted on a low carriage. It was sleek but small compared to the shining armor of the Vesh. The weapon's frame was dark gray, marked with faint blue lines that pulsed gently. A power core hummed inside, giving off a steady rhythm. "This," Reed said, "is the XR-21 rail accelerator. It uses magnetic propulsion to fire a projectile at 12 times the speed of sound. It is one of our newest defense tools." Tira looked at the weapon, then at Reed. Her expression softened into amusement. "This small thing? It looks like a tool for mining, not a weapon for war." A few humans nearby exchanged glances, but Reed showed no reaction.
He only folded his hands behind his back and waited.
Tira tilted her head, inspecting the weapon from several angles. "Your people still use projectiles," she continued. "Most civilizations abandon such crude methods once they understand energy manipulation. Even my personal craft's shielding could absorb this impact." Reed met her gaze calmly. "Perhaps," he said, "but it depends on what kind of impact you are expecting." Her laughter rang across the hall, clear and confident. "Do not mistake my curiosity for insult, Commander. I simply find it charming. Your species builds such elegant architecture, yet your weapons remain simple. It is as if you care more for how they look than how they fight." The hall grew quiet. Many of the delegates looked uncomfortable, but Reed's face remained calm. "We care for survival, emissary, and we design for what works." Tira gave a graceful nod. "Then let us see what works." The demonstration was prepared outside on a long firing range that stretched over the ocean. Drones from the Dominion floated in the sky, recording every movement. Tira walked beside Reed, her long coat fluttering slightly in the wind. "You humans are fascinating," she said lightly. "So young among the stars, yet you speak as if you have seen the galaxy." Reed smiled faintly. "We may be young, but we have learned much in a short time." They reached the end of the platform where the railgun had been mounted on a reinforced base. Engineers made final adjustments, and the weapon powered up with a low hum. A target drone hovered half a kilometer away, waiting. Tira folded her arms, still amused. "I will record this for our archives. It may make an interesting study in primitive engineering." Reed gave a brief signal. The railgun fired. A sharp burst of sound filled the air, followed by a flash of blue light. The projectile crossed the range in less than a second. The target drone flared, shook, and fell into the sea below. The water splashed high, then stilled. Tira watched, unimpressed. Fast but predictable. The projectile follows a clear path. Simple physics. I could deflect that with a single gravity shield. Reed turned toward her. Perhaps. But this is only a surface model. Her eyes narrowed slightly. Surface model? Yes, Reed said. We have more advanced systems. Ones that you cannot see from space. This is only a sample. Tira smiled again. Hidden toys underground? How quaint. Do you truly believe anything below your crust could harm a Dominion vessel? Reed looked toward the horizon. Harm is not the goal, emissary. Balance is. Her translator hesitated for a moment, almost as if it did not understand the meaning. Balance, she repeated softly. He nodded. We protect our world by understanding what we should not awaken. Some power is best left sleeping until the right moment. Tira gave a soft laugh. You speak in riddles, Commander. I admire your attempt to sound mysterious, but I assure you, our sensors have scanned your planet. We found no significant energy signatures, no hidden weapons, no ancient machines. Reed's expression did not change. Then your sensors must be working as designed. Tira tilted her head. And how is that? To show only what we want them to see. The emissary paused, studying him. Her smile faded for a heartbeat, replaced by a look of quiet curiosity. Then she laughed again, though softer this time. You humans have spirit? I like that. It reminds me of the first colony worlds we visited long ago. They too believed they could hide secrets beneath the ground. Reed turned toward her, his tone calm but firm. The difference, emissary, is that we built ours before we even left the ground. For a moment, neither spoke. The wind from the ocean carried a cool breeze through the range. Far above them, the Dominion ship hovered silently, its crystal hull reflecting the fading light of the sun. Reporters whispered among themselves. The audience could sense that this was more than a simple test of technology. It was a test of pride. Tira broke the silence first. Commander Reed, I see no reason to continue this discussion about buried myths. Your people have courage, but courage is not strength. Reed met her gaze. Perhaps not. But sometimes, emissary, courage is what wakes strength when it sleeps. She looked at him as if trying to understand whether he was serious. You are an interesting species, she said finally. If nothing else, you are entertaining. He smiled slightly. I'm glad to hear that. Tira turned back toward her shuttle, still holding the faintest trace of a smirk. Show me your strongest weapon, Commander. Not these small machines. Show me what makes humanity so sure of itself. Reed gave a single nod. Then you should come with me tomorrow. I will take you below. Her brow lifted. Below? Yes, beneath the surface. That is where you will find what you are asking for. She seemed amused again. Very well. I will humor you. Perhaps your hidden monster will surprise me. Reed's tone remained steady. Perhaps it will. As she stepped back toward her ship, the light of sunset cast long shadows across the water. The humans on the platform watched her leave, their faces unreadable. Reed stood still until the vessel rose and vanished into the sky. Only then did he turn to his aide and speak quietly. Prepare Site 0, he said. It's time. The aide hesitated. Sir, are you certain? The core has been dormant for years. Reed's eyes stayed on the sky where the alien ship had disappeared. It will wake when it needs to. It always does. The wind carried his words out across the ocean. No one spoke after that. The world had met the stars, and the stars had laughed. But deep beneath the ground in chambers no one had visited for generations, something old began to stir, humming softly in its sleep. The next morning, the desert sun stretched across the horizon, painting the sand in shades of gold and amber. The wind carried the faint scent of salt from the distant sea, but the site where Commander Reed led emissary Tira Vesh was far from civilization. It was an old military installation, hidden for decades under layers of rock and sand. Most maps no longer marked it, and few humans even remembered the stories of what lay beneath. Reed led Tira along a narrow path toward the entrance, a massive steel door embedded in a hill of stone. The surface was covered in dust, but the metal glimmered faintly in the sun, as though it had been polished recently. Tira glanced at it with curiosity. So this is where you hide your hidden monster, Commander? She asked, her voice carrying a hint of amusement. Reed smiled faintly. We do not hide it because we are afraid. We hide it because it is not meant to be seen by everyone. Only when it is necessary will it reveal itself. The emissary raised an eyebrow. And when is it necessary? Reed paused at the door, placing his hand on a series of panels embedded into the metal. Lights flickered across the surface as he activated a sequence known only to a few people in the world. "When the safety of Earth is at stake," he said. The hum of the panels grew louder, and the ground beneath them seemed to vibrate slightly. The massive door began to shift, sliding smoothly into the rock. A dark passage opened and a cool, artificial breeze drifted outward. Tira stepped closer to the opening. "Your people go far to hide this. I expected only a small storage area or a training room." She tilted her head, examining the darkness beyond. "I did not expect." This Reed led her inside. The passage was wide enough for vehicles, though they walked along the polished metal floor. Lights along the walls activated as they moved, casting a soft glow over the smooth, almost living surfaces. The air smelled faintly of ozone and metal. The walls themselves seemed to pulse gently, as if the structure were breathing. Tira paused, reaching out to touch one of the panels. Her fingers brushed the surface, and a subtle warmth spread through her glove. "Impressive engineering," she said softly. "This is far more than a hiding place. It feels alive." Reed nodded. "We do not build for appearance. We build for endurance. This installation has been here longer than most of your sensors could detect. It was meant to last, to survive anything above." They walked for several minutes in silence. Deep beneath the surface, the air grew cooler, and the faint hum of machinery filled the corridor. Tira could hear it clearly now, a low, constant vibration that seemed to resonate with the very bones of the earth. She frowned slightly. "Is that your weapon?" Reed shook his head. "Not yet. That is the core of the facility. It powers everything down here. It has lain dormant for decades, waiting for the right signal." They arrived at a massive chamber, easily large enough to hold a small city. The walls were covered in panels of dark metal, and lines of blue energy ran like veins across the surfaces. In the center, a deep pit extended downwards, disappearing into shadow. Massive doors at the far end were marked with symbols that no human or Vesh language fully explained. Tira stepped forward, her silver eyes reflecting the glow of the energy lines. This is extraordinary," she said. "I had imagined something large, yes, but not this." Reed smiled faintly. "Most civilizations think defense is about visible power. Ours is about timing and patience. What lies below has not seen the light in over 50 years. Her curiosity grew stronger. 50 years? And you never feared it would decay or fail? "We monitor it constantly," Reed explained. "And it was built with a technology that is not dependent on human life cycles. It will function until the day it is needed." Tira glanced at him, realizing that his calm demeanor hid something deeper. Humans often laughed, fought, and built, but they also carried patience unlike any other species. Even now, as she stood in this enormous chamber, she could feel that the humans had outpaced her expectations. Reed led her closer to the pit. The edge was lined with a safety barrier, but it was clear that nothing could contain what lay within if it were activated. A faint blue light pulsed from the depths, growing brighter as they approached. Tira stepped back slightly. "What is that?" "That is the entrance to the chamber where our main system rests," Reed said. "It is more than a weapon. It is a guardian. It is not meant to destroy everything, only to protect everything we hold dear." Tira studied him closely. She was used to civilizations that spoke of weapons as tools of conquest, but here was a species that spoke of protection as strength. It was a perspective she had not encountered often. "And you trust this guardian to do the right thing?" she asked. Reed nodded. "We trust it to follow the programming we instilled, and we trust ourselves to know when to awaken it." The emissary's laughter was absent now. She could feel the weight of the chamber, the hum of energy, the faint resonance in the floor. It was alive, yes, but in a way that was deliberate and intelligent. She took a step closer to the edge. "And what is it fueled by?" Reed gestured to the lines of energy running along the walls. "A combination of ancient power sources, magnetic resonance, and gravitational manipulation. It is unlike anything most civilizations have seen. It is why we have remained hidden for so long." Tira's head tilted, curiosity giving way to awe. "I have studied your history," she said. "I have read about humanity's early wars, your slow progress to space, your reliance on simple tools. And yet, here you are, hiding something this advanced beneath the ground?" Reed smiled faintly. "Appearances can be deceiving, emissary. Many civilizations underestimate humans because we do not show all of our strength at once. We grow quietly, we build carefully, and when the time comes, we awaken. She watched him for a moment, studying the lines of his face, the quiet confidence in his posture. You are very different from the humans I have met before. You do not boast. You do not show off. And yet you possess patience and planning. That is rare in any species. Reed's gaze shifted to the pit below. Patience is necessary. If we rush, we fail. If we act too soon, we reveal ourselves unnecessarily. Every system here is measured for timing, for balance. Even the Guardian waits for the right signal. Tira finally let her gaze fall into the depths of the pit. The light pulsed steadily, like the heartbeat of a sleeping giant. She could not see the bottom, but she could feel the presence of something immense, something powerful. A shiver ran through her, not of fear, but of recognition. This was not a simple machine. This was a testament to human ingenuity, to a species that had learned to survive through cleverness and patience rather than sheer force. She stepped back, turning to Reed. I did not expect this. Your surface weapons are one thing, but this is another. You have hidden a civilization's worth of technology beneath your feet. Reed nodded. It is not hidden to be secret for its own sake. It is hidden to protect our world until it is needed. The rest of the galaxy may laugh at our small guns, but the truth is, they do not understand us at all. The emissary's eyes narrowed slightly. You speak as if you are prepared for everything. Even the Dominion. Reed met her gaze evenly. We do not plan to start wars, emissary, but we prepare to survive them. Survival is the greatest weapon of all, and sometimes it lies beneath the ground waiting quietly for the right moment to awaken. Tira remained silent for a long moment. She had expected arrogance, threats, or displays of power. Instead, she found patience, intelligence, and quiet confidence. She realized that humanity was not a species to underestimate. Reed gestured to the control panels along the walls. Would you like to see more? Or shall we leave the rest as a mystery until it is truly needed? Tira studied the panels, the pit, and the faint pulsing of the lights. Finally, she nodded slowly. Show me more. I want to understand how a species so small in the galaxy can command such power beneath its surface. Reed smiled faintly, then pressed a series of buttons on the nearest panel. The hum of the installation grew louder, and lights along the walls intensified. The floor beneath them vibrated slightly, responding to the energy flowing through the chambers. Blue light shimmered up from the pit, reflecting off Tira's silver eyes. This is only the beginning, Reed said quietly. What you see here is the surface of our capability. There is much more below waiting. And when the time comes, it will awaken. Tira looked at him, understanding dawning in her expression. She had thought humans were simple, their weapons primitive. Now she realized that they were something else entirely. Hidden patience, careful planning, and power that even she could not fully measure. She allowed herself a small, respectful smile. You are impressive, Commander Reed. Far more impressive than I expected. Reed inclined his head. Thank you, emissary. But this is only the beginning. The real test comes when the world above needs it most. The wind from above carried through the vents, whispering softly through the chamber. Outside, the desert remained silent, unaware of the enormous power resting just beneath the surface. The humans walked quietly through their hidden halls, and the emissary walked beside them, her amusement replaced by awe. Deep in the shadows of the pit, the faint pulse of energy continued. A long sleep was ending, and the hidden giant stirred slowly, sensing the presence of those who had come to awaken it. The deeper they went into the underground installation, the cooler the air became. Blue light from the walls stretched across the floor, creating long shadows that danced like liquid. Commander Reed led emissary Tira Vesh carefully, stepping over panels that hummed with energy. Every step echoed faintly, and the sound seemed to awaken something deep below. Tira had grown accustomed to the strange technology of the facility, but even she could feel the difference now. The hum was no longer just background noise. It had become a rhythm, steady and powerful. It resonated with the metal walls and the ground beneath their feet. She stopped and placed her hand on the smooth surface of the corridor. Her fingers tingled as if the building itself were alive. What is that sound? She asked, her silver eyes wide with curiosity. Reed did not answer immediately. He walked to a large panel at the center of the corridor and ran his fingers across the controls. That is the pulse of the Guardian, he said finally. It is not fully awake yet, but it is responding to our presence. Tira frowned slightly. Guardian? Yes, Reed said. It is more than a weapon. It is a sentinel. It protects the planet, the people, and everything we hold dear. It is designed to awaken only when necessary, when a true threat approaches, and we are nearing the moment to test its readiness. She looked down a long shaft that led deeper into the facility. A soft blue glow spilled from below, illuminating the edges of the metal supports. "How large is it?" she asked, almost in disbelief. Reed smiled faintly. "Larger than any of your sensors can detect. You would not believe it if you saw it from the surface." Tira's amusement had faded now. A new feeling took its place. Fascination mixed with respect. She had encountered advanced civilizations, powerful technologies, and defenses that could level planets. But the humans had created something different. It was hidden, patient, and quietly aware. They reached a chamber the size of a city block. The walls were lined with panels covered in unfamiliar symbols and lines of glowing energy. In the center, a massive pit extended downward into darkness. The blue light pulsed from within, like the heartbeat of a sleeping giant. Tira took a careful step back, realizing that no ordinary weapon could occupy a space this enormous. Reed activated a sequence on the nearest panel. The lights along the walls intensified, tracing the veins of energy that ran into the depths of the pit. A low hum grew louder, vibrating through the metal floor and the walls. Tira instinctively took another step back, sensing the presence of something immense stirring below. "This is the entrance to the main chamber," Reed explained. "The Guardian has been resting for decades. It has been designed to remain dormant until the right moment. Now, with your presence in the activation sequence, it is beginning to respond." Tira's translator whirred softly, processing the unusual energy readings. "I cannot detect the full scale of it," she admitted. "The sensors are overwhelmed." "What is it made of?" Reed looked down at the pit. "A combination of metals, energy cores, and gravimetric systems. Its size is only part of its design. It manipulates forces that most species cannot even imagine. That is why we built it underground, to contain its presence until the world above needs it." The chamber walls trembled slightly as the hum grew louder. The pit glowed brighter, casting sharp reflections across Tira's silver armor. She had expected a large machine, but this presence was beyond anything she had imagined. Even standing at the edge, she could feel its weight, its awareness, as if it could sense every step she took. Reed moved closer to the edge, his hands resting on the rail. "It is listening," he said quietly. "Not to us, but to the signals we have programmed. It knows we are here, and it is preparing." Tira studied him carefully. "Preparing? For what?" "The test," Reed said. "We need to know that it will respond correctly if a threat ever reaches Earth. It is not meant to harm without cause. But when it acts, it must act with precision." A low vibration ran through the floor, growing stronger with each passing second. Blue light shimmered across the walls like water. Tira's eyes widened. She could sense the size of what lay below and the intelligence behind it. The humans had not just built a machine. They had built a guardian that could think, wait, and act when necessary. "How long can it stay dormant?" she asked, her voice softer now. "Indefinitely," Reed replied. "It requires only small amounts of energy to maintain itself. The rest of the time it sleeps. But it remembers everything, and it is ready to awaken fully when the signal is given." Tira took a careful step closer to the edge of the pit. The glow from below illuminated her features. She had expected arrogance, she had expected simple machinery, and she had expected humans to exaggerate their strength. Instead, she found something far more impressive. A combination of patience, intelligence, and quiet confidence. Reed activated another panel. Lines of energy along the walls shifted, pulsing in rhythm with the hum of the pit. The floor beneath them vibrated more strongly, and a faint wind rose from the depths as if the chamber itself were breathing. Tira instinctively took another step back. "It is alive," she whispered, more to herself than to Reed. "In a way," he admitted. "It is not alive like you or me, but it has awareness. It can react, adjust, and protect. That is why it has remained hidden for so long. The world above must never see it until it is necessary." The pit grew brighter still, and shadows danced across the walls. Tira felt the magnitude of what lay below her. She had laughed at the small railgun the day before. Now she could feel that the humans had not only prepared for defense, but had created a presence that no other species could ignore. Reed gestured toward a platform that extended over the pit. It lowered slowly, giving them a better view of the depths. As it descended, the pulsing light from below became almost blinding. Tira shielded her eyes, and when she looked again, she saw the outline of a massive structure. It was enormous, stretching far into the darkness. Its surface was covered with interlocking panels and glowing veins of energy. The design was sleek yet functional, clearly built for strength and endurance. "It is more than a weapon," Reed said quietly. "It is a guardian, a sentinel. It is the reason Earth has remained safe for so long, despite being surrounded by civilizations that could overwhelm us." Tira could feel the weight of his words. She had studied humanity, but she had never fully understood them. They had been underestimated across the galaxy, dismissed as weak or primitive. Yet here was proof that they were anything but. She stepped back, allowing herself a moment to absorb the scale of the chamber. "Your surface weapons are simple," she admitted softly. "But this is something else entirely. You have hidden an entire civilization's worth of engineering beneath your feet." Reed nodded. "Appearances can be deceiving, emissary. Many species underestimate humans because we do not show all of our strength at once. We grow quietly. We build carefully, and when the time comes, we awaken." The hum of the pit grew louder, and the floor beneath them shook lightly. Blue light shimmered across the walls, casting long reflections. Tira felt a deep respect for the humans who had created this guardian. They had patience, intelligence, and the foresight to build something that could protect their world for generations. She looked at Reed, her curiosity mixed with awe. "I had thought humans were simple, their weapons primitive. But now I see, you are something else entirely. Hidden patience, careful planning, and power that even I cannot fully measure." Reed smiled faintly. "That is correct. And the time will come when the world above needs it most. Then it will awaken fully, and humanity will show that we are not to be underestimated." The wind from the vents whispered softly through the chamber. Outside, the desert remained silent, unaware of the enormous presence resting below the ground. The humans walked quietly through their hidden halls, and the emissary followed, no longer laughing but instead filled with a growing respect. The blue light from the pit pulsed steadily. Deep in the shadows, the Guardian sensed the presence of those above. It had been dormant for decades, waiting. Now it was stirring, responding to the awakening signal. The hidden monster was alive, and it would not remain so quietly for long. The desert above was calm. The morning sun rose slowly, stretching its golden light across endless sand and rock. The sky shimmered faintly as heat began to rise from the ground. There was nothing in sight except the small steel platform that marked the surface entrance to the underground facility. To an ordinary eye, it looked like an abandoned military outpost. But far below, life stirred in the deep metal veins of the earth. Emissary Tira Vesh stood on the edge of the platform beside Commander Reed. The air was still, filled only with the hum of quiet machinery beneath their feet. Tira looked at the horizon, where thin clouds drifted lazily. Her expression was thoughtful. "I have seen many planets, Commander," she said softly. "I have seen fortresses carved into moons and weapons that draw energy from stars. But what you have shown me beneath the ground is unlike anything else. Why keep such power hidden?" Reed stood with his hands behind his back, eyes steady on the sand ahead. "Because true power does not need to be seen," he said. "It only needs to exist when the world demands it. To show strength at every moment invites fear, and fear leads to destruction. We learned that lesson long ago." Tira turned toward him, studying his calm expression. "The Dominion would never understand such restraint. Power is meant to be displayed to remind others of their place." Reed's voice remained even. "That is why the Dominion often makes enemies while humanity endures quietly. We have learned that strength shown too soon invites danger, but when it is revealed at the right time, it changes everything." Before Tira could reply, a faint vibration shook the ground beneath them. The steel beneath their boots trembled. Far below, a deep rumble echoed upward. Birds that had been resting on the platform's edge suddenly took flight, scattering into the sky. Tira looked down sharply. "What is happening?" Reed glanced toward the horizon. "The Guardian is responding. The activation signal has reached the final phase." She frowned. "You are activating it now?" He nodded once. "The test begins today." Tira's silver eyes brightened. "You did not tell me this." "I did not need to," Reed replied. "You would have come either way." A low, rolling hum filled the air, and the wind shifted. Dust rose from the ground, forming swirling shapes before being swept away by an unseen force. The sky darkened slightly, not from clouds, but from something deeper. A faint distortion, like ripples in water. Tira's translator began to buzz with interference. "This is not natural," she said quickly. There are gravitational fluctuations in the atmosphere. Your weapon is affecting the upper layers of your planet. Reed looked calm. Yes, that is part of the test. From the distance, a sudden flash of light burst upward from the desert. A thin line of energy shot into the sky, vanishing into the clouds. The ground trembled again. A deep metallic tone filled the air, echoing like the sound of a great bell struck far below the surface. Tira took a step forward, her eyes scanning the horizon. "What have you done, Commander?" "The Guardian is awakening," he said. "It is adjusting to the modern atmosphere and relinking with the defense grid. It must test its connection with the orbital layer." She stared at him. "You mean the satellite ring above your planet?" He nodded. "It has been dormant, waiting for this exact moment." Tira's communicator blinked rapidly. "My ship is detecting massive energy readings beneath us. The scale is impossible. The gravitational field around this area is shifting. Even the Dominion's main cores cannot generate that much pull without losing control." Reed glanced up at the sky, where faint patterns began to shimmer. "That is the difference between building for power and building for survival. We do not lose control because we never rush." The ground shook again, harder this time. Panels of sand cracked open across the desert floor as sections of metal rose slowly from beneath the earth. The sound was deep and steady, like thunder rolling upward from the ground. Tira stepped back instinctively, her hand rising to shield her eyes from the growing light. From beneath the sand, a vast structure began to emerge. It was shaped like a colossal ring, glowing faintly with blue light. Segments of it rose from different parts of the desert, connecting through beams of energy that stretched across kilometers. "What is this?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Reed's eyes followed the expanding structure. "That is the surface array. It stabilizes the field for the Guardian. The true core remains deep below." Tira could not look away. The ring continued to rise until it formed a full circle on the surface, hovering slightly above the ground. The air inside the ring shimmered with strange ripples. Static electricity tingled against her skin. She felt the hair on her arm stand up as the gravitational field shifted around them. "This technology," she murmured. "It bends space itself." Reed nodded slowly. "Correct. It is part of what we call the drift field. It manipulates localized gravity to create a barrier that nothing can penetrate." "Not even Dominion ships," Tira turned to him sharply. "You built a planetary defense shield using gravity distortion? That is forbidden technology in most of the galaxy. It is unstable." "For those who do not understand patience," Reed said calmly, "we spent generations perfecting it. It does not need to destroy. It only needs to protect." The light from the ring intensified until it bathed the entire desert in pale blue. The sand floated slightly, suspended by the altered gravity. Tira felt herself rise half an inch before stabilizing again. Her sensors went wild, unable to measure what was happening. "This should not be possible," she said, her voice filled with disbelief. "Your world should not have the resources for this. Your people only reached space a few centuries ago." Reed looked at her. "You measure progress by time. We measure it by purpose." The hum grew deeper. In orbit above, unseen by the human eye, dozens of Dominion ships had taken notice of the sudden anomaly. Tira's communicator blinked again. "Commander, the Dominion fleet is signaling me. They are detecting massive gravitational distortions over your planet. They want to know what you have done." "Tell them," Reed said, "that Earth is simply waking up." Tira hesitated. "If they believe you are testing a weapon, they may respond." "They will watch first," Reed said. "Curiosity always comes before fear." From the distance, the sky rippled again. A faint line of energy climbed upward through the clouds, splitting them in a perfect circle. The ring below pulsed once, then steadied. The vibrations beneath their feet slowed to a calm rhythm. "The Guardian is stabilizing," Reed said quietly. "The awakening sequence is complete." Tira turned toward him, still trying to comprehend what she was witnessing. "You have hidden this for generations. Why reveal it now?" Reed looked at her steadily. "Because now the galaxy is watching, and we needed you to see what humanity truly is. We are not invaders, nor are we weak. We are protectors, and we build what we must to survive." The air between them shimmered faintly. Tira could feel the pressure around her shifting. "It feels alive," she said softly. "In a way it is," Reed replied. "The Guardian responds to presence. It senses intent. It can tell when someone means harm and when they come in peace." Her silver eyes met his. "And what does it sense from me?" Reed smiled faintly. Curiosity and respect. She took a deep breath, turning back to the massive glowing ring. Commander, you must understand what this means. The Dominion will not ignore what they have seen. They will try to learn from it, to use it, perhaps even to claim it. He nodded slowly. They may try, but they will not succeed. The Guardian does not serve anyone beyond this world. The hum beneath them softened. The ring's glow dimmed slightly, then steadied into a calm blue pulse. Far above, the Dominion ships observing from orbit began to drift out of formation. Their sensors failed to record the full data, as if the distortion field erased what they saw. Tira watched as the energy field settled. The air returned to normal, and the sand fell gently back to the ground. The sky cleared, leaving only the faint shimmer of light above the ring. Reed turned to her. The test is complete. The Guardian is stable. It has proven that it remembers what it was built for. Tira took a moment to absorb everything she had seen. Her confidence from the first day was gone, replaced by something far deeper: understanding. Your small gun, she said quietly, recalling her own words from before. It was never small. It was never even about the gun, Reed smiled. No, it was about what lies beneath it. She nodded slowly, her expression calm. You have hidden your strength well, Commander. Perhaps too well. Now that I have seen it, I cannot forget it. The night fell over the desert with a calmness that seemed almost unnatural. Stars shone in perfect clarity above, and the wind whispered softly across the sand. The earth appeared quiet, as if nothing extraordinary had ever stirred beneath its surface. But deep below, the hidden monster on the Guardian was awake. Its blue pulse shimmered faintly through the layers of rock and metal, a silent rhythm that reached the very core of the planet. Commander Reed stood at the surface entrance, watching the horizon. Beside him, emissary Tiravesh observed quietly. The silence was heavy with anticipation, not fear. Tira had seen the surface array, the awakening sequence, and the first signs of the Guardian. But now she understood the scale of what had been hidden. Humanity's power was not in flashy displays. It was in endurance, patience, and intelligence. You have truly hidden a world beneath your world, Tira said softly, her silver eyes reflecting the faint glow of the energy beneath the ground.
I underestimated you before.
Now I cannot. Reed's gaze remained fixed on the horizon. You never truly underestimate a species that has survived this long, emissary. That is the lesson of humanity. We adapt, we endure, and when the time comes, we awaken. A faint tremor ran through the desert. The sand shifted in subtle waves, carrying with it the hum of the Guardian. This time, the vibration was stronger, more deliberate, as if the giant beneath had fully sensed the presence of those above. The ground beneath their feet pulsed in rhythm with the light from the underground core. Tira stepped closer to the edge of the platform. I can feel it. It is immense. The energy readings are off the charts. I have never sensed anything like this, not even in Dominion installations. Reed nodded slowly. It is designed that way. Not to threaten, but to protect. Project Drift was built to respond only when necessary, to act with precision and judgment. It is not a weapon of destruction. It is a guardian of life. Tira's expression softened as she considered his words. The Dominion will not understand restraint. They will see this and assume you intend to conquer, to dominate. Reed smiled faintly. Let them assume. The truth will become clear when the Guardian acts. It will not harm unless there is cause, and it will always act with purpose. A glow rose from the desert floor. The sand itself seemed to lift, forming faint ripples in the air as gravitational waves spread outward. Blue light shimmered across the platform, reflecting in Tira's armor. She could see the distortion in the atmosphere, like ripples across water bending the stars slightly in the night sky. What is it doing? She asked, her voice filled with awe. Reed watched carefully. It is connecting. The surface array is linking with the core, completing the final circuit. The Guardian is ready to extend its influence across the planet, ensuring balance and protection. From below, a massive shadow began to rise. The pit expanded and the Guardian emerged slowly, its enormous metallic frame reflecting the soft light of the desert moon. Segments of energy ran along its surface, glowing and pulsing in rhythm with the planet's heartbeat. It was both machine and sentinel, alive in a way that was deliberate, precise, and intelligent. Tira could not look away. Her eyes widened in disbelief. It is enormous. The scale, I cannot comprehend it fully. Reed did not respond. He watched silently as the Guardian stretched upward, reaching toward the surface array. Energy beams connected the two, forming a lattice of light that shimmered across the desert. The gravitational field stabilized the surrounding area, creating a calm pocket where the air and sand floated slightly, suspended in harmony with the Guardian's energy. Your species has hidden a giant beneath the ground, Tira said softly. And you expect the Dominion to accept that without question? Reed turned to her. They will not have a choice. The Guardian is not for them. It is for Earth. It acts for the world, and its loyalty lies only with those who belong here. We have prepared for observation, but not for intrusion. Those who arrive will see only what we allow. The desert trembled again, and the hum of the Guardian grew louder. Energy ripples extended outward, reaching into the atmosphere and even brushing against the satellites orbiting the planet. Tira's communicator blinked repeatedly, trying to process the data. Commander, even the Dominion sensors cannot detect the full scale. This is beyond any system I have encountered, Reed nodded. That is intentional. Our technology is designed to operate quietly until it is needed. Visibility is not strength. Precision is strength. Tira stepped closer to him. And you trust it completely? That it will act as intended? We designed it, calibrated it, and tested it for generations, Reed said. It will act as intended. And even more than that, it will protect without unnecessary harm. That is the difference between humanity and other civilizations. From below, the Guardian's massive limbs shifted, rising slightly to connect more fully with the energy array. Its surface glowed with lines of light that spread like veins, flowing from the depths of the pit to the surface. The ground beneath them pulsed gently, and a wave of awareness seemed to extend outward. Tira felt it, a subtle but undeniable presence. The Guardian was aware not only of the humans above but of the entire planet. It could sense balance, detect threats, and measure outcomes in real time. This was not simply a weapon. It was a protector, a sentinel, and a living proof of human ingenuity. It is watching everything, she whispered. It is aware of all life above it, Reed nodded. Yes, that is its purpose. To protect, to preserve, and to respond when necessary. The drift is not an offensive tool. It is a shield, a guardian, and a reminder that humanity is not to be underestimated. The sky above the desert shimmered as the Guardian extended its influence outward. Stars appeared to bend slightly, and even the faint glow of the moon seemed altered by the gravitational distortion. The Dominion ships, observing from orbit, struggled to maintain formation. Their instruments could not measure the field properly, and signals became delayed and distorted. Tira's eyes widened in realization. They cannot reach you. Their sensors are useless against it. Your world is protected beyond comprehension. Reed smiled faintly. That is the point. Humanity does not need to display power to the galaxy. We need only survive, endure, and awaken when necessary. From deep below, the Guardian's core pulsed brighter. The energy flowed through the surface array, stabilizing the planetary field. Sand and dust floated in soft waves, forming patterns in the desert like ripples across water. The hum of the Guardian filled the air, resonating with everything around it. Tira stepped closer to the edge, awe evident in her posture.
I underestimated you before.
I thought your weapons were small, primitive. But this is something else entirely. The humans are not what I expected. Reed's eyes reflected the soft glow of the energy. That is often the case. Most civilizations underestimate humanity, because we do not show all our strength at once. We grow quietly, we prepare patiently, and when the time comes, we awaken fully. The desert settled into a calm, steady rhythm. The Guardian's presence was no longer a subtle pulse. It was a constant hum of energy and awareness, a silent force that could protect the entire planet. Tira could feel it through the ground, through the air, and even through the slight magnetic pull that tugged at her sensors. She turned to Reed, her expression thoughtful. The Dominion will see this eventually. They will know that humanity cannot be ignored. Reed nodded. And that is why we prepare quietly. The drift is a reminder that even when we appear small, we are capable of incredible things. Power is not about display. It is about purpose. Tira finally allowed herself a smile, soft but full of respect. You have hidden your strength well, Commander. I will not forget what I have seen tonight. Reed smiled faintly. That is the intention. Let the galaxy think what it wishes. The truth will awaken when it must. The Guardian pulsed once more, sending a gentle wave through the desert. Sand settled, stars blinked in the sky, and the air returned to its normal rhythm. But beneath it all, the hidden monster, humanity's protector, Rome, remained awake. It had waited for the right moment. And now it had stirred fully, prepared to defend, to protect, and to remind the universe that Earth was not weak. The night returned to quiet, but a new understanding hung in the air. Humanity's small gun was no longer small. It was a presence beyond measure, a force built to endure, protect, and awaken only when necessary. And those who had witnessed it, even Tiravesh, would never underestimate the human race again. The desert was still. The stars shone bright and deep below. The Drift Guardian hummed softly, awaiting the day it would once again rise to protect the world above. Humanity had shown its true strength. The galaxy would soon learn that the sleeping giant of Earth was no longer asleep.